With the production of Daredevil Born Again currently shut down, we really haven't been getting a lot of news. But now, one of our favorite scoopers has dropped a story about the villain for the first half of the season, and I have to say, it's rather unexpected. Let's talk about the Muse. Well, we do know Daredevil Born Again is definitely going to see Matt Murdock face off once again with Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin. But beyond that, exactly what's going on in the upcoming season of The Man Without Fear is a complete mystery. Now, Daredevil has an awesome rogues gallery, and many fans are pretty hopeful to see the likes of Bullseye, Gladiator, or Elektra. But now it appears, at least for the beginning of the season, Marvel has a pretty interesting and different villain in mind. Now, this story comes via Daniel RPK. So like we always like to say, it's not from Kevin Feige or Marvel Studios or the Daredevil production crew, so we want to take it with a grain of salt, but honestly, I think this is a pretty good call. Now, according to the scooper, right now, the Muse is going to be the main antagonist for the first half of Daredevil Born Again. As many of you know, the show is going to be 18 episodes, so it shouldn't be surprising it's being split into 2 parts, and there is a ton of room for lots of other villains to appear, but it appears for a while the Muse will indeed be the focus. If you're unfamiliar with the Muse, that's okay, because he's a pretty new character. He was introduced in the pages of Charles Soule's and Ron Garney's Daredevil back in 2016. He is a psychopathic serial killer who believed he was giving purpose to his victims by actually turning them into twisted works of art, using their blood and gore to create large murals and other displays. So the idea that this show will be less dark than previous versions of the show, well, that seems to be discounted just by the nature of the villain himself. Now, in the comics, the Muse has never revealed his real name, and his origins are a total mystery, with his powers being unexplained or even how he obtained them being equally a mystery. Now, he does have enhanced strength and speed, along with the ability of what some people call imperceptibility. The Muse's body acts like a vortex that can pull in every little bit of sensory information around him, so you can totally see how this would make him quite the villain to take on Matt Murdock in the upcoming year. Again, this will be quite the dark direction to take the series, and totally gives me the feeling we are going to get a very similar tone to Netflix Daredevil. Being a psychopathic serial killer and the gore associated with his crimes, that is something many fans were not expecting from this series, and although it might not be for everybody, I think it's a pleasant surprise. I actually think the Muse and Matt's attempts to track him down and stop him will be one of the main plots that runs through the show, but everything is obviously going to be overshadowed by Wilson Fisk looming large somewhere in the background and quite potentially taking up Mayor, as we've seen teased in some of the previous set pictures. I love the idea of them using a rather unknown villain like the Muse, but I hope Marvel isn't shying away from the classics. We definitely need Elektra, Bullseye, and even Gladiator would be great. Some of us wouldn't even mind seeing Stiltman, but I'm not really too sure where he'll obviously fit in. Now, we still don't have a release date on Daredevil Born Again. It was in production when the SAG strike started, and is still expected to drop on Disney Plus next year, but guys, I would expect it to be pushed later into 2024. The longer the strike runs, the longer before we finally get to see the show. In any case, knowing the Muse is going to be part of this is pretty interesting, and it does reveal the exact darker direction this show will be headed in when it finally drops. How dark it's going to be? Well, we're going to have to wait and see.